start this off with opening comments from Coach KEZI, and then we'll open it up to your guys' questions.
Okay, well, we're obviously excited about getting the season going. Baseball's one of those sports where you come in September and you got to kind of practice for a long, long time before you get to play a game. So I think our guys are, putting in their work, putting in their time, and I think they're getting anxious to play.
Okay, so remember last year this time you guys had a high preseason ranking. You said you weren't as impressed with them as Baseball America, and those guys are now number 2 highest rankings, schools 3. Are you as impressed as BA?
No, I'm going to say the same thing I said last year. I'm not impressed at all. I like the fact that we have some experience coming back on the mound. I'm always concerned when you have to replace 3 people up the middle. Schmitty was very, very good for us, and as well was Jake Rodriguez and Max Gordon. So, we got to replace 3 people up the middle, and that's concerning to me, but I like our team. We have to stay healthy, and we obviously have to play at a very high level in order to compete in our conference and with the people we play out of conference. So I do like our team, but I think that they would tell you we got a long way to go.
Pat, can you specifically address that strength up the middle? All your College World Series teams, you got guys from the majors, all of them went to the pros, but can you specifically address, catcher, middle, infield, center field?
Well, Jake was the best guy in the country of throwing runners out last year, and Schmitty was an 8th-round draft pick, and Max Gordon was the guy that shouldn't be playing, that played every day, and was a spark. So we got to replace those guys, and there'll be new players there. Somebody that's never been a consistent starter. We have plenty of people that can do it. Now, at what level they do it and how they do it. The shortstop thing, we've got a freshman that can play there with Timo, Trevor Morrison, and then Petey can play there, who played second base. I don't want to do that because I'd like him to stay there. Caleb Hamilton can play there. So, we just have all kinds of options there, and obviously they're not going to be Schmitty as far as being a senior guy, having that experience and been through the wars a little bit, no matter who it is. So, well, there's all kinds of catching candidates. You got Calvin Kais has learned how to catch, and Caleb Hamilton's learned how to catch. Logan Ice is a freshman. Nate Esposito's a junior. Mason Fishback's a freshman. So there's all kinds of guys in there that can catch. In the outfield, in center field, I think that, Jeff Hendricks and Michael Howard and Nick Ruley can all 3 play there, and certainly can add something to what we're doing. I think that's an area where we weren't very set on very much early last year, which eventually Max settled in there and gave us what we needed. Dylan Davis can play there. So we do have to replace those people, but I think we can replace them, and they'd be different type of players. But hopefully we're good enough in the other areas in the outfield with experience that'll help offset that a little bit.
Do you have any time frame of how you want to work them to figure out who's going to be kind of the starters in those positions as you move forward?
Yeah, the sooner the better for me, but they kind of decide those things for me. I would tell you that if we played tomorrow, that I would probably play Jeff Hendricks in center field and Trevor Morrison at shortstop, and I don't know what I'd do behind the plate. But that can obviously change depending on whether they go with the right-hander or left-hander. But those guys have played well, and they're starting to be some. Those 2 particular people are 2 that I have liked in those positions. Peterson's played really well at shortstop. Whether he has to do that or not, I'd like to see it that he can play second.
Pat, you obviously lost a big arm in Matty Boyd, but you had some depth in the starting rotation. Andrew had some success on Saturday. Have you kind of figured out the way you want to play things out on the weekend?
Well, I guess if I was superstitious, I'd make Andrew Amo go on Saturday for sure and Fry go on Sunday, right? So I don't know what we're going to do. To be honest with you, I think all 3 of those guys, Wetzer, Fry, and Mo, are all 3 quality arms. Got a couple freshman guys with Jake Thompson, that can pitch in a starting role. I think Flemmer can be a starter. I certainly think that Scotty Schultz could pitch in a lot of different areas. We just haven't got to the point where we know who's that fourth starter and how we're going to, and what our rotation will be. But I feel pretty good about the three guys we have. I feel pretty good about some people in the middle, and we obviously got to have somebody finish the game. Chandler Eden, he could start, he could close. He's another guy that can do that. We need to get something out of some guys like Brandon Jackson and Tyler Payton, you know, people that have been here, that have experience. Those guys need to step up and pitch for us.
How important is getting a fourth starter? You know, last year you guys went into the World Series trying to figure out who might go there. How important is that to develop somebody that you feel really confident in?
Well, it's extremely important. You know, Dylan Davis is a guy that we actually started last year on that last game, opening weekend, and I think we even started in the next weekend. I'm not sure, but as I look at the four starters we had last year to start the year, I think one of them was Dylan, and I think one of them was a kid that got hurt, and I can't remember his name right now. It's terrible, but you know, I don't think that it ever ended up the way that it was at the end. You know, and obviously Wetzer was hurt to start the season last year, and Fry was out. Taylor Starr was hurt. And so, you know, we were kind of piecemealing the thing together there at the beginning, and we were fortunate enough to get through 8 games that first 2 weekends. So we kind of got the same thing going, just that we got a little, you know, pretty good competition coming down the chute right out of the gate.
You mentioned Cav learning to play catcher. What's the key to you at third base?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things we can do at third. Caleb Hamilton, a freshman kid, can play third. I believe that Casper can play third, and you know, certainly Cav can. And we're not looking at Cav to be a starting catcher, I don't think, as much as we are a guy that could catch there. So hopefully it won't do any damage to us there. As far as defensively, Cavs, you know, a guy that was a fairly good defender last year needs to be a better defender to play there this year. Danny Hayes at first base was one of those guys that his senior year just took off and had a great year for us, who hadn't had a lot of success. So we're looking for Cav to be one of those guys that plays on both sides of the white lines, you know, not just an offensive player, but also becomes a really good defender. And he has the ability to do that. And if he does, it's really going to help us.
Okay, so one of the things that guys on last year's team talked about was the team chemistry. When you lose guys like Max Gordon and a bunch of seniors in the middle, how has that sort of process been for this year, trying to come together as a group?
Well, this time of year, you know, you're hoping that they find that on their own a little bit, what makes them click and what makes them go. And team chemistry is also always one of the most important things. And we have enough people there. We have enough people. If they choose to be strong leaders and they choose to have chemistry and they choose to hang with one another, that we'll have that same type of bond, you know. But winning fixes a lot of problems. You know, when you come out and you have a lot of success early and you feel good, and it's when you're struggling that real leadership comes to the top and real chemistry comes to the top. It's when you know, like what happened to us last year when Schmitty broke his hand. You know, that thing kind of goes unnoticed, that we're playing right in the middle of the year and we lose Schmitty. And then all of a sudden, we got to take our second baseman and make him a shortstop. We got to take somebody else and put him at second. I think we even moved Cav over there for a little bit, but it disrupted our club. And but we had enough chemistry that we got through it, and we took 5 out of 6 conference games without him. And so, you know, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. And we just need strong leadership from the top. We have enough guys back. There are enough guys back that this club should be a club that can win the games they should win. And, you know, baseball's kind of a tough game because you can go play in a tournament and you can see everybody's best arm for that tournament. You know, you say you play 3 other teams and they all decide they want to beat Oregon State. They could all throw their best arm. So we have to be prepared for that. I think that's something that will help us. Hopefully we handle the pressure the way I think we can, and if we do that, I think we'll be okay.
Coach, who on this team are you maybe expecting to really kind of step up or have somewhat of a breakout year? Is there anyone who comes to mind?
Well, there's going to be some freshmen play, and so that, really having a breakout year, they wouldn't fall into that category because they haven't played, but I expect some freshman guys to be major contributors to us. I'd like to see Kevin Kais become a complete player. I would like to see Jeffrey Hendricks be on the field. I'd like to see all of our guys put as much emphasis on the defensive side of the game as they put on the offensive side of the game. We need somebody. Scotty Schultz is a perfect example of a guy that had a ton of inconsistency last year, that if he would be consistent, we could rely on him in a certain at a certain time in the game, whatever that may be. But maybe it's you got guys that didn't play a whole lot last year, a Gabe Clark guy, a Nick Ruley type guy. Those guys, any of those guys could really do that if they choose to do that. I think that sometimes certain players have to have success before they trust themselves, and other players trust themselves, and that's why they have success. So hopefully they'll fall into the category of believing in themselves, and it'll happen for them.
How's Fry looking?
Fry's looking well. I mean, he's Fry. He's on the mound and he's competing, and he's been good. We're trying to hold him back a little bit as far as, how many innings he's going now and how many pitches he's throwing, and we're trying to, temper that down a little bit and trying to get our starting pitching all in line. And, like I said, we've been going at it pretty good since September. We will be, in my opinion, we'll be as well prepared to play opening day as we ever have been. Now, how we play, that'll be dictated by what happens when they start calling balls and strikes. But as far as the time on the field, the time in the weight room, the time running, the time in the classroom, everything that you can think of in baseball that you need to cover, we've been covering. And this weather's been fantastic. We've been outside. We've been here since September 10th, and our guys are anxious to play. And so I'm excited to see them play. I'm also very well aware of, how the ball bounces. And if you catch it and throw it to the right guy, you got a chance.
Pat, when you say as well prepared to play as ever, has this group collectively and the weather and all those things, is that what you're talking about, that you've got a collective?
Yeah, I'm just talking about, yes, exactly that. I think we've trained properly. I think we've had a great fall, so we were out on the fall quite a bit. The weather's been outstanding. We've been outside almost every day since we've started practice and since we've been in early work. There are times when I have coached here where I've went down and played games and have never been on the field, and particularly before we had the turf, because you couldn't put the tarp on until it dried out. And when it starts raining in November, it usually quits in April. So, getting that tarp on in the wintertime in January was hard, but it's been fantastic. I mean, the other day we were outside and it was like a nice spring day. So everything combined, having the right guys back, being in the right training situation, having the right weather, being able to inter squad, trusting in the team, believing in the guys that have been here long enough that they know what it takes. They're going to dictate how well those freshmen play. If they want to be focused on themselves, the freshmen won't play very well. If they want to focus on the team and they want to focus on what makes other people better, they will take care of those guys. And I believe that'll happen. I don't think it happens overnight. But like I said, we've been here since September, so I believe that they're well on their way to understanding that.
How fast is this team, Pat? What kind of team speed do you have?
Petey can run, Mo can run, Hendricks can run, Dylan can run when he wants to. Let's see, Hunter Jarman, if he makes our club, can run a little bit. I think we got a little, maybe average to above average team speed. I think we need to be better base runners. I don't think we have. Trevor Morrison probably, if you just ran a foot race, him and Jeffrey Hendricks might be the two fastest guys we have. Who's the best base runner might be something different. I want to be a good base running team. The game is, the game's changed a lot with, the bats and that kind of deal, and you got to play the game of baseball. We need to be able to put the ball in play. We need to be able to defend. And I think right now there's some guys that are a little confused as to what it takes to get on the field as far as how they play on the defensive side of the game. And so we're trying to get that ironed out, and we work hard, and that's one piece of the puzzle, and it's a big part of the equation, but not the only part of the equation.
What are your impressions of John?
Hunter, really gifted athlete, obviously a guy didn't have the opportunity to play baseball in the fall, and so he's rusty as far as that's concerned, but he's holding his own, and he makes contact, and with the roster limitations, this 35-man roster thing is kind of disappointing, because he's a guy that we certainly feel like could be a contributor if you had unlimited roster spots, and he's one of those guys that's right there to take one of those last two roster spots. But it's too bad that some of these guys, not just him only, but there's no reason. I've never figured out why the NCAA decided that 35 guys was the right number, but 37's not. And so that's a disappointing thing to me. The opportunities that have been taken away from some young men that could be the Max Gordons of the world that walked on and ended up getting to start in a College World Series that may never have a chance to play because of roster limitations. So that's the way it is. But Hunter's a very physical, athletic guy with a lot of talent.
His 20th year, have you thought, reflected on that?
Yeah, every time I look in the mirror in the morning, I reflect on that. I wouldn't have any wrinkles if I wasn't 45, Yeah, it's pretty good, It's a challenge. I think that the one thing that you can never escape if you care and you're competitive is what are your guys doing when you're away from the yard, whether it's summertime, whether it's fall, whether it's night, whether it's morning, I kind of sleep with one eye open, there's always something going on with the draft, with recruiting, with academics, with baseball, with family, and we kind of stumble through life and find out that we actually need each other, and we motivate one another to become better, and becoming a better version of yourself. If that's your challenge when you wake up every day, you usually got a pretty good shot to have a pretty good day. But when you wake up thinking about all the bad things going on, usually you have a pretty rough day. So my challenge really is to get guys to believe in the unbelievable, to be stupid enough to think they can do something that most people tell them they can't. And, coaching baseball is easy. They never move the bases. The mound's always going to be 60 feet 6 inches, give or take an inch or two, depending on where you're at. And if you have good mechanics, you got a chance to bunt. If you swing at strikes, you got a chance to hit. And if you pick it up, throw it to the guy at the right spot, you get him out. But how you do that and at what level and how often you do it, that's the challenge. And so handling all the adversity that comes with that crazy game is the biggest challenge for coaching, in my opinion, not just coaching the game of baseball.
Pat, what about the ballpark, Rouse Stadium? You talk about thinking about things that can't be done. When you got here 20 years ago, and what's going on now, could you talk about that? Just what you see and what's happening now?
Well, first of all, it's the best place in the conference to play. It's the most exciting. Our fans are on top of you. Guys love playing there. It's electric. We got this new locker room that was going to be done in the middle of March, but won't be done until the middle of the summer, but it's going to be done. It's just another piece to that puzzle. But the Omaha room where people can be up and see the game from inside is kind of unique to our conference. Having the Hall of Fame room there, an academic room, having a players' lounge, and just having the fans right on top of you. The proximity of the bleachers to the foul lines are tight, and so it makes it fun. A little Fenway Park down the lines, and it's going to get even tighter. But it's a great yard. I think our guys love it. I think they take pride in the fact that there's been a lot of blood spilled on that field, and we've taken most of the time we've taken a good shot at winning ball games there. That people have told me in our conference that I take a lot of pride in, that it's a tough place to play, you know, and so our guys make it that way. We want to keep improving it. You know, we're doing stuff to the outfield fence this year that'll be completely done by the time we start playing. We need to change the playing surface. Like I said, we're adding that area down the third baseline that'll have an area where people can stand above and see the game. New bullpen will be coming in. We just try to improve it and get it better and do those things all the time. So I'm excited about that, and excited about the fact that so many people have been involved in making that thing happen. You know, all the donors, all the past players, the alumni coming back, and it's pretty cool.
Okay, so Michael and Dylan, you guys are getting a lot of attention before the season in terms of the draft. They're both even guys. How have you seen them kind of handle all this kind of stuff?
Well, talking to Dylan, he feels like he's probably going to join the Marines, and Mike's going to go in the Navy. So there's their draft status. You know, I mean, they'll be apart from one another, but they'll be protecting our country. You know what's cool about that is the fact they've been through it a long time. They both have been in this USA stuff, and since they were young, they've been high-profile kids. And I think that I was talking about this today with another guy in our club. I think there's enough draft people in our club that it's kind of, they protect one another a little bit in that area. I don't think that they feel like they're on an island and everybody's coming today to see this one player. I think there's quite a few players. They know how I feel about it. I want the best to happen for them, and they know this is the last opportunity they really have. If it's your last year of college baseball, whether you're a senior or a draft guy, that it's all about the team, and it's all about enjoying it, and it's all about being part of something where it's not a business, because it becomes a business, and I think they'll handle it really well. I think they've handled it well so far. I think their families are well educated in how the process works, and I think they'll help them out. But you know, they're just going to play baseball and let us all worry about all the distractions off the field. I just don't think those circumstances will affect them.